So yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about digital twins and really what I think the opportunity is. Um, in the AEC industry, I would say that the slide was true a decade ago, and it's going to be true a decade from now. The AEC industry is really iterating quickly. What I have noticed, though, is that you have these large companies that are not embracing technology and are due to be disrupted. And then you have other companies that are really bringing technology into the forefront. And guess who's going to be here in the next 10 years? So I really look at digital twins as being a foundational element in enterprise. Most of my business is focused on large companies. We work with Fortune 500 companies. But that's just the same. In fact, it's probably even more so within the built environment. And I think we understand the value, like intellectually, what is the value of digital twins, but we're not leveraging them end to end. And in some cases, we're not leveraging them at all. And I'm going to throw this out here because I am confounded by the fact that we do not build the as-built while we are building the building. And that photograph that Mark just showed about with the gentleman wearing the LiDAR scanner Naviz, I was trying to find a picture of myself wearing one of those. I have a picture of myself wearing one. We can use that. We can LiDAR scan. And I guarantee you, if we tie payments to it, your workers will comply. Anyway, just a thought. Throwing it out there. So when I talk about end-to-end utility, digital twin and technology in general touches all of these use cases. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is a very simplified view, right? We talk about smart cities all the time, but we're not going to get to smart cities unless we have smart buildings. And digital twin is the enabler of that. And we're very busy working towards digital transformation. And I think in the same way we talk about digital twins in these abstract terms, and everyone has a slightly different definition, it's the same with digital transformation, right? We talk about it, but we're picking one area to transform. We're not looking holistically at how we do things differently. So, are we really innovating?
Imagine our world today. People, vehicles, businesses, buildings, hospitals, factories, entire cities, and the billions of devices that connect us to this world and to each other. This is the physical world. But what if we can replicate that physical world into its digital twin? A digital twin that is bound to the physical world in real time, that we can experience in mixed reality, that we can collaborate with, that we can run simulations on and find what is important to us, that we can apply AI to learn, predict, and act, to save time and money, to reduce carbon, to preserve natural resources, to improve safety, to bring us all closer. This is already happening today. Across the world, organizations are taking advantage of this new wave of innovation that trends to an interconnectedness that enables the metaverse. Everything modeled in the metaverse mirrors the status of its physical twin, including the interactions and relations between everything else. By applying the power of the cloud, we eliminate boundaries of what this can do. The potential is limitless.
And you can tell that that was from 2021 or 2022 because they're talking about the metaverse, which is the worst term in the world. And everybody hates it. But we are going to inhabit a version of these 3D environments regularly. And, the built environment is a 3D environment. So it's natural that we would want to have these digital twins. But beyond that, there is going to be a bridge from the physical world into the digital world, not just an exact replica in the form of a digital twin, but these lyrical environments that as consumers, we will play games, we will socialize, there will be this endless digital landscape. And so we have to start thinking more broadly. So how do we get there? Well, we have to stop thinking of digital transformation and innovation in just these incremental improvements on things we already know how to do. All you're doing is kind of closing the gap between the most optimized and the most efficient you can be, right? We have to start thinking about reinvention. Innovation isn't just improvement. It is conceiving of new models, new ways of doing business, right? What are the buildings? What is the built environment of the future? And what is the digital environment of the future? What are the products and services that go along with it? And it's not always about solving problems. It's funny, I work with a lot of startups, and a lot of the trainers and mentors that I work with always say, talk about the problem you're solving. But sometimes it's not about a problem. Sometimes it's about just inventing a completely better way of doing something. I think it's sad that we're focused just on fixing problems. What about building a better bread box, right? How about just doing things in a better way, in a new way, things we haven't imagined? And it's coming, right? This tsunami of technology. I want to dive into the 1,000 pages of future research. Because that's probably just the tip of the iceberg as well. And I'd argue that it's not coming, it's here. And so I was kind of checking to see which ones we were coinciding on. And this is just 10 of the technologies that are impactful today and are going to continue to be impactful, and especially within the AEC industry. And I'm really happy that we're talking about health tech as well, because the built environment is going to have a living, breathing relationship with its inhabitants through AI and through a consistent data exchange. So it's important that that is part of the way we're thinking about the future. And how many of you have heard of the term the AR cloud? Nobody. I know you have. So the AR cloud is a digital twin of the entire planet, of the world we live in, and all of the data. So you can almost think of it as the World Wide Web, but actually tied to physical space, so that all physical space in the world has location, spatially relevant data. And we know everything will be interconnected. But the other thing we have to think about as business people is that disruption cycles are moving twice as fast. And I'm giving us all the benefit of the doubt by saying only twice. And what that means is there are companies today getting a big VC check that are going to fundamentally disrupt the way you do business. And that's going to start happening faster and faster. And then as we have so much technology, the barrier to entry to actually implement new technology is going to get higher. And I know that's counterintuitive because things do get smaller and less expensive, but we don't have the talent, the workforce, the regulatory, so we have to do all of it. And how many of you watched anything to do with the Meta announcements the last couple of days? Right? What do you think about the new device? Everybody's a little bit so-so on it. They're coming, right? We call them wearables. The reality is they're not wearable yet, but this new device from Meta, it's getting close, right? When it looks like this, and you can access through voice, through gaze, through gesture. I can't see you because these are my reading glasses, but you know, everything that you're looking down at your phone now, and I see which ones of you are, by the way, it'll be projected in your field of view, right? It'll just pop up, you'll see it, you'll engage with it, and then you'll swipe it away. right? So I think of that, like when my kids were little and they were at the dinner table and they had their phones, and I'd be so upset. I was like, in the future, they can ignore me by looking directly at me, right? Because like the latest, episode of Black Mirror will be floating over my head. And who's thinking about real-time 3D? All right, new concepts, good. So real-time 3D is the highest end of where we want to get to with a fully connected, two-way, interactive digital twin, right? That is connected, and it is being fed data, optimizing the data, and feeding data back. And real-time 3D essentially enables dynamic optimization of whether it's your built environment, whether it's a manufacturing line. And what's interesting is that at the forefront are game engines. So when you think about the way games are constructed, that's going to be an element of how we engage with digital twins. So these devices, when they do come, and even this kind of 3D internet that's coming, is really going to enable very, very different ways of working, right? From collaboration to training to design. I'm going to kind of blow through these because I do want to get to our Q&A. Visualization in all of its forms, including BIM visualization, right? So not just looking at BIM designs on a 2D screen, but actually being in a device, seeing them in context, and having superpowers, having X-ray vision. Completion assessments. I had to put this slide in here. Because I am going to, it's the last thing I do, somehow figure out a very simple workflow that as soon as a building is completed, you have a perfect as-built, you have a perfect digital twin that is fully connected. And that is what we need to get to. Real-time diagnostics, even remote technical assistance, right? So you don't necessarily have to have an expert come in and fix the HVAC system, right? You can have someone remote in and see everything that the on-site technician sees, all in real time. Safety training, spatial ergonomics, design reviews and approvals. Imagine being able to get your inspections done remotely. How remarkable would that be? Site planning. All right, so let's put it all together. So just as architects do, I know we have a couple in the audience, we need to start with the blank canvas. So let's not look at what are the problems that we're trying to solve. Let's look at how do we want to live in the future? It's almost even taking yourself out of a business context and thinking about, like, if 25 years from now, if I could teleport myself into my euphoric world and I got to architect it, what would it look like? And I bet nobody in this room has a picture of what that looks like, because that's why I had the hamster wheel gif at the very, very beginning. We're doing our jobs. We're picking up the kids from school. We're paying bills. We don't fantasize anymore about what the future is going to look like. But we do need to create a vision of the future, because the technology is coming so fast now. And we're expecting regulators to save us. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in time. We all have to engage in this better vision. There are some big issues, the grand issues, that we need to solve. But technology can help us get there. And so we have to look at a multitude of technologies. I have a lot of clients who have come to me in the past saying, oh, we need to be working, it was the metaverse for a while, it was blockchain before that. Now we need AI. And I'm like, what do you need any of it for? Because it's not the technology they're after. They're trying to fix something or change something or evolve something. But it's not just one technology that's going to do it. All of these technologies are going to layer together. So again, going back to that future vision, once you have a personal future vision, you can apply that to your business state. And what is your ideal future state for a digital twin? So if you had a perfect level 5, I'll show you an example of what a level 5 digital twin is. Like, what would you have it do? How is it going to not just improve what you're doing, but how can you actually use it and simulate against it completely new ideas? You have to have cycles of new, fresh ideas. In the same way that AI is running out of data, we are running out of fresh ideas. And we need to start from scratch, from the idea of if we had to completely change how we do things, what would we do? I'm not saying that's where we'd go, but it'll give you incredible insight into how to go from where we are now to something much better. So this is a digital twin maturity model. I highly recommend you taking a picture of this. This is actually, I think, from Unity, but there's versions of this from the Digital Twin Consortium. The reason it's important is because everybody has a slightly different version of what they think a digital twin is, right? And what we want to get to is that autonomous twin. The systems are all working seamlessly. The thing that we don't talk about a lot, and I'm glad Mark brought it up, is the human in the mix. We have to start defining where the human plugs in, where the AI plugs in, and what that continuum looks like. And build economy of scale. This is just one example for a residential builder that we put together, a very simple slide deck for them, kind of talking to them about how they would leverage digital twin because they build large residential complexes. But think about how you would build once and then apply across multiple use cases, because it's expensive. It's expensive to maintain, heavy compute, a lot of data. So you don't have to do it all at once. One thing that's quite interesting too that we worked on a project recently is around ESG. Leveraging the digital twin to basically look at how everything is performing in your space, building a report to let you know where you are against your 2030, 2040, 2050 goals, helping you optimize to those goals. And then as regulatory comes down, seamlessly allows you to transparently report, right? So you don't get massive fines, which are going to start happening. So experiment with new models, new ideas. now you're all scratching your heads going, what does that video have to do with anything? What it has to do is that is one version of the future that a team from Airbus and Arconic and a couple of other companies got together and thought, all right, how do we visualize, again, like what are the products and services of the future? And that's what they came up with. And guess what the future is going to look like if we don't all engage? That. That's why AR looks like Minority Report. It's because the book was written, somebody made a movie about it, we all went to see it, and now it's like, well, that's what it's going to be because we haven't decided that we want something different. And I'm not saying we need something different, but we have to start engaging in a bigger vision of the future because life doesn't always have to be super practical. We aren't going to really engage in these leaps and bounds in innovation unless we flex the thing that makes us human is our ability to create entire worlds and concepts in our minds. And you're all builders here in one form or another, and fluent in 3D, most of you. So you are uniquely positioned for this next wave. So I am a big believer in technology, if that's not clear. But I think technology is really about bolstering how we change the human experience and improve the human experience. And in doing so, yeah, we'll be better at work. We'll make bigger buildings. We'll make better buildings. But at the end of the day, it's about us, right? And so how are we going to use this technology to improve the human condition? So I'll leave you with my favorite quote. The best way to predict the future is to create it. So let's create something great. Thanks.